I'm beginning to think I'm on Harry Styles overload. I've just had a lot of this guy this year, and honestly, I don't know if he spat on Chris Pine, okay? My Policeman was directed by Michael Grandage. It stars Harry Styles, David Dawson, and Emma Corrin. This movie tells the story of a man. He lives in England. He marries a lady that he believes is the woman of his dreams. He's going to have a profile painted of him, but the man who paints it begins to fall in love with him. This causes disruptions in his marriage and a choice between which one he wants to go with. My Policeman, I think, had quite a build up to it. It really was trying to promote itself as a really good big movie, but despite I think all that marketing, this film falls completely flat on every possible conceivable level. Not because it's bad, but because it is the most mid-tier thing they could possibly do. We've had so many good films that are like this, and for someone to make one that is the most cliched, almost sleep-inducing films of them all is very disappointing. Like, this film is slow. It pretty much repeats the same things that we've seen happen 1,001 times before, and despite the fact they're trying to make it like it was going to be this great story of forbidden love, it's just a rehash. It's kind of tedious, and the script doesn't necessarily move it along, and there's no real chemistry going on, despite the fact that everyone in here is supposed to have such a big deal going on with what's taking place in this movie. Also, the performances, I think, can be very I think that actually Emma, I believe her name is Corrin, did a really good job in here. She's fantastic. Harry Styles is pretty cringe in here. Like, he's trying to overdo it so much, it just doesn't necessarily work. And David Dawson, I wasn't a big fan of either. I just honestly wasn't invested in this film. And the thing is, it's not a bad movie, but it's not a good movie. It's just there. It's okay. That's it. But the movie like this should have been more than okay. This should have been better than okay. This should have been something that had much more of an impact to it and managed to make a better statement than this, rather than to be just this boring. Not because I could understand if it was never trying to be more than that, but it attempted to be that. Like, you can feel in the movie it's trying to be grand, it's trying to be great, it's trying to be big, it's trying to be very moving, but it just doesn't. You just kind of sit there and watch what takes place. I honestly am not lying. 35 minutes in, I knew what the ending was going to be, and sure enough, the ending was exactly what I thought it was going to be. So it's just that issue with it of just, I know I've said this so many times this year, but we're seeing the same things that are cliches just happen again and again and again in Hollywood, and I don't know why anyone's not stopping it, because I mean, this film could have been more. It had the potential to be better than it was, but it just doesn't reach that point ever. It just constantly feels like, I don't know, it feels like those books you get in high school out of the library that were like those romance novels. That's kind of what it feels like, honestly. Just, I didn't get much from it. I was very disappointed with the performances. The direction was not very good, and I never really found myself rooting for any one particular character in this movie. I just found myself watching it, and I find that to be an issue because I want to do more than watch the movie. I want to care about somebody and what happens, not just sit there and be like it's a bunch of cardboard cutout characters. And I know it sounds like I really hated this movie, but not so much that I disliked as much as I was underwhelmed. That's my biggest issue going into it. I didn't necessarily have high expectations going in, but still, this was not the best. It didn't get to where it needed to be. It just couldn't. You can feel the effort, but the execution wasn't there to back it up, to go along with it. This just very basic form of storytelling, and nothing in here was as satisfying as it should have been. So I'm going to say I don't necessarily recommend you going to go see this movie. Wait till it comes out later if you really want to see it. And even then, honestly, I don't think you're missing out on much. So I'm not going to give this movie a recommendation. I'm going to give My Policeman a 4 out of 10. So thank you guys always so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see y'all next time.